All right, market heroes, here we go. It's straddle time. Straddles are a very interesting strategy for us, and they're definitely part of our core strategies here. They can be quite profitable, but at the same time, they do add more risk than a lot of other strategies. However, they are incredibly profitable. So, for starters, what is a straddle? So, a straddle involves selling an at the money call and an at the money put at the exact same time. So, let's go take a look and see what that actually looks like. So, we're going in at SPY closest monthly expiration cycle to 50 days. That's the October one here, expiring 41 days. So remember, we want to sell an at the money call and an at the money put at the same time. So that's what a straddle is. So right now, the price of SPY is at 246.58. We're going to round up to 247. So we would sell the at the money call and we would sell the at the money put at the same time. All right, so as you can see right here, we're collecting $6.18 to actually execute this strategy. So that's a lot of credit that we're collecting here, right? So we make money on the strategy a few ways. The first way we make money is at expiration time in 41 days, if SPY expires within our break-evens. So the break-evens on this particular trade, as you can see here, if we go to mimic the execution, are 240.82 and all the way up to 253.18. So that's about a $13 break-even point. And the reason is we take the current strike price, so the strike price here being 247, and we add the credit received, so $6.18. That's our break even to the upside, as well as subtract $6.18. That's our break even to the downside. So that's what a straddle is. It's selling the at the money call and at the money put at the same time. So obviously we make money if prices fall between our break evens for the credit we receive. Right, we are, since we're selling options, we collect a credit for doing so, and we make profits. Obviously, number one, as we mentioned, if SPY or the stock finishes within our break evens at expiration, or volatility decreases over time. So, if you guys remember back to our theta lesson, and if you don't know what theta is, you have to go back to our options Greek lessons. But theta is higher the closer you are to at the money. So theta is highest at the money strikes. So if we're selling options at the at the money strikes, premium decay and theta decay is at its highest for these strikes. So the 240 put doesn't decay and doesn't lose value as quickly as the 247 put, for example. So while we're taking on a little bit more risk because our break evens aren't as wide as, let's say, a strangle is, for example, excuse me, we are being the beneficiary of having theta reduced quicker than any other strike price based off of what we have here, right? So again, there's a little bit of give and take in all this. So differently, when we look at the normal distribution curve, we used to think that, okay, selling a strangle, for example, is selling this, expected move. A straddle is a little bit different. It's selling a little bit less than it, right? So it works out to be about a 40% probability of making money on a straddle. So not as good as a strangle where it's 68%, but as you guys know, options are priced off of their expected move. We know that based off of all the lessons you guys have seen so far, that the expected move is overstated to the actual move, thus options prices are overstated. So maybe with this strategy, we're collecting more money. Maybe it will still be a profitable strategy for us. What we did was the following: 2003 to present. So depending on when you're watching this, 14 and a half years plus of data. We did this every single day in SPY. We sold the at the money straddle, selling the 50 delta call and 50 delta put the exact same time, right? So that's what it is right here. The price of the stock is 246.58. The closest strike price to that is 247. Making the 247 call and put, the at the money call and put, selling both of them create a straddle, right? And we do this in the monthly expiration cycle, like everything we do here. We do this in the monthly expiration cycle, closest to 50 days from expiring, and we're doing no management here, so we're just holding it, right? So we're putting on the trade and just holding it, and we did that every single day for 14 and a half years. And you guys remember, 2003 to about 2007 was very bullish. 2008 and 2009, we lost about 50% of the value of the market, and then we've gone straight up since there. So this is bull market, bear market, and everything in between. So let's see how we did. Right, so in the left column, we see what we were expected to do. A straddle, on average, is expected to be right about 40% of the time. And right, conventional wisdom says, well, it's a zero-sum game. One side makes a dollar, one side loses a dollar. So on everything, it's going to come out to the wash, right? So we expect to make no dollars per trade. We expect to be in the trade for 50 days, an average P&L per day of $0. As it turned out, doing this at the money straddle, remember, at the money straddle, selling the at the money call and put, is right 66% of the time when we just hold until expiration. The average P&L per trade is $127.37, and we average making about $2.71 per day. Remember, if you're asking why is this possible, you need to go back and look at volatility. You need to go back to our lessons talking about expected move. Again, options are priced off of their expected move. The expected move has been overstated to the actual move for the last 100 years. So options are a little bit overpriced. That's why selling options and pretty much selling all of them, or any of them, excuse me, are a profitable strategy. This one takes on more risk. We'll talk about that in a later lesson, but obviously the reward here is pretty good, making $2.71 per day when you're supposed to make zero. That's pretty good. But let's take it a step further now, right? So we did the same thing every single day. We sold the at the money straddle, right? 14 and a half years of data in SPY. So what we did was this, right? We know based off of the Strangle study that we did before that managing our winners and letting our losers run is different than what conventional wisdom says. Remember, Warren Buffett says never lose money, right? So Warren Buffett says cut your losers and let your winners run. And one of the great things about selling options is your profitability is completely capped. There is no undefined or unlimited money you can make. And that's what makes it so exciting. We're looking to do what we just did, and which is selling at the money straddle every single day, letting it expire on its own. Now we're going to compare it to managing early, and what we want to check is not managing at 50% of the credit we received, but 25% of the credit we received. So right here, we sold the at the money straddle for $6.18. $6.18 times 0.75. So the value of the straddle ever got to $4.63 or 64 cents, we would look to buy it back, right? That would be an example of buying it back for a quarter of the maximum credit or the maximum profit that we received, right? So again, if we had sold the straddle for $8, we'd look to buy it back for $6, right? Pretty much plain and simple. So we're going to see if managing our winners and letting our losers run is a profitable strategy. So again, for about a 14 and a half plus year time frame, doing this trade every single day, bull market, bear market, and ultimately bull market, we wanted to see if managing our winners and letting our losers run outperforms just putting on the trade and letting them expire by themselves. So here we go. Again, we're expected to be right 40% of the time for no money because conventional wisdom and us market heroes know that we don't actually go by the conventional wisdom. But conventional wisdom says zero-sum game. One guy makes a dollar, one guy loses a dollar, one lady makes a dollar, one lady loses a dollar, and it all comes out in the wash. You make no money, right? Because it's a zero-sum game. But if we did this every single day and just put the trade on, never did anything, we were right 66% of the time for about $2.71 per day. However, and this is really cool. This is really cool. If we do it every single day and buy it back for 25% of max profit, we were right 81% of the time. We were in the trade for an average of 27 days, and we made almost $8 per day. So we're looking at almost a 3x improvement in P&L per day if we manage it early. Pretty cool. But we're going to go one step further as we always do. So this time we did the same days. You gotta remember, guys, this is 14,000 plus occurrences that we're doing these studies. These aren't curve fitted. This is every single day. A sample size that big is enough to let you know that there are no, we're not just curve fitting any of this, right? So every single day we sold the at the money straddle, just like we've been showing you all along, right? So what we did was we did a couple things. We let it ride, right? So we would just hold it to expiration and let it do, let it expire on its own, and we would see the P&L, right? At the same time, we would do what we just did, where we would look to buy it back if it reached 25% of max profit, and if it never reaches 25% of the credit we received throughout the life cycle of the trade, we would just let it expire on its own, right? And now what we want to do is, because we know when the expected move is greater than average, options are more overpriced than they normally would be. So then we wanted to bracket these strategies based off of times when the expected move or implied volatility is above its average, and we wanted to see how that would affect our profitability, right? As you can see here, it's a pretty big difference. It's a pretty big difference, and I have a little bit of a spelling error here. Excuse me, a word error here. It's a pretty big difference here, as you guys can see. So looking at these two columns right here, holding until expiration and then just holding until expiration, but only executing the strategy when volatility is greater than average, it's about a 50% increase on P&L per day just by picking your spots. And again, all of our market heroes know exactly how to find periods of high volatility. It's very, very simple. Then if we look at the last two columns, we see purchasing back for 25% or holding until expiration, and then doing that same thing and just executing these trades at the proper time. And again, the proper time is when volatility is greater than average. Volatility is the expected move. So when the expected move is greater than average, we can expect to see about a 20% increase in improvement when we're looking at trade management and managing our profits. That's a very, very big deal over time, and you guys will see in later lessons on straddles, it's such a big time. So when is the best time to execute this strategy? Well, obviously, it's when volatility is greater than average. However, if you're not going to do it when volatility is greater than average, we have to make sure that we are buying back and we are always managing our winners. When we look at just managing our winners versus holding until expiration, we're in the trade for almost half the time. So you can almost get 2 trades on in the same period as if you just held until expiration, and the profitability is almost 3x. So you're almost, over a 50-day period, you're making about 5 to 6x on your money than you normally would just by managing your winners. And again, the way we would do that is we take the credit we received and multiply it by 0.75, so 75% of that. So if the value of the 247 column put ever gets to 463 at the point in this strategy, we would buy it back. And the point of this trade, we would buy it back. So that's what it would be. So we learned a lot here. It's really, really great. I'll see you on the next video.